Hi, I'm John Walker, the co-founder and CTO of AppFolio, and I want to tell you a little bit about our infrastructure. One thing that I think makes us different is that we have what I call a next-generation cloud architecture. Our core engineering and operations team are the same one that built and operated the third largest web-based business service in the world at Citrix Online. Because of that, our team has deep engineering experience running highly reliable web-based services. There are a lot of lessons to be learned in building web-based services, and one significant one is that as your service grows, it becomes harder and harder to make changes because of the sheer amount of data that's stored in the system. This manifests itself in a lot of different ways. One thing that first-generation cloud services often see is that as the number of customers grow, the service slows down. Often it's also difficult to perform upgrades because any changes have to be made to this huge amount of data. One of the more serious problems is that in the case of a failure, it can take a long time to restore service because you have to restore all the data at once. From the very beginning, our engineering team designed the system to avoid some of these problems using a next-generation cloud architecture. This means that instead of the huge amounts of customer data being stored in one big system, each customer's data is stored individually. The difference is very much like the difference between a huge stadium parking lot and a single-car garage. Finding a car in a stadium parking lot is not impossible, but it can be slow. Likewise, if there's any problem with the stadium parking lot and you want to move all the cars somewhere else, it would be a long and difficult process. It would be hard to find another lot that could accommodate all the cars, and you would likely even cause some traffic jams as you move. What if you needed to change the layout of the parking spaces while the stadium lot is full? You'd have to move all the cars temporarily, paint new lines for each of the spaces, and move the cars back. It wouldn't be easy. Single-car garages don't have these problems. It's easy to find your car, it's easy to move the car from one garage to another, and you can even make changes to the garage without much problem. Next-generation cloud services are built like single-car garages. Data for each customer is stored independently. In the case of a failure, fewer customers are affected, and when a recovery does occur, data can be restored relatively quickly since each customer's data can be restored independently. Finally, even upgrades are quicker because each customer account is upgraded independently. On average, it takes less than a minute to upgrade each customer to a new version of AppFolio Property Manager. There are a lot of best practices that experienced cloud engineers know that are important to having great availability. Having redundant systems that can handle failures across any component, power, hard drive, network, etc. Also having an identical tested disaster recovery data center in a different geographical location is a best practice for handling multiple component failures or a large-scale natural disaster. These are not easy to accomplish, and AppFolio invests heavily in these best practices as well. What truly makes us different, however, is our next-generation architecture that provides each customer with their own virtual garage to give them better performance, faster upgrades, and in the case when something goes wrong, faster recovery so customers can keep their businesses running.